back on.
Yeah, so you should look up the Tytler cycle.
Yeah.
And read it off so people understand.
The Tytler cycle?
It's Tytler.
L-E-R.
Tytler cycle.
This is a serious conversation, right?
Yeah.
We can't say anything about the word
Tytler.
Tytler cycle. That sounds like what I went through from like 12 to, well, now. I don't know.
Man, you're killing me.
2 centuries ago, a somewhat obscure Scotsman named Tytler made a profound observation: a democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. The list beginning from bondage to spiritual faith is commonly known as the Tytler cycle.
Speak up so they can
or
hear you.
the fatigue's fatal sequence.
Yep. And some people call it like the 10 generations of a civilization. The 10th generation, there was a book I think written about it. But read off, there should be a circle of what people do. Like what the different cycles are. So I think the first one's like slavery, bondage, something like that. Spiritual enlightenment's one of them.
From bondage to spiritual faith.
Yep.
From spiritual faith to great courage. From courage to liberty. From liberty to abundance. From abundance to complacency. From complacency to apathy. From apathy to dependence. From dependence back into bondage.
So where do you think we're at in that cycle?
I think we're in apathy to dependence.
And it won't be long until we're dependent to bondage again.
Yep.
That's the cycle that most civilizations go through. And I think that there is a huge lack of knowledge in that, and a huge amount of just neglect and not paying attention and not reading between the lines and educating yourself and all that. You know, that people are just not paying attention, man. But if you're paying attention to any of this, like, read that out.
Get deep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's go do some research on that. It's pretty profound if you think about it. It's literally where we are in society. Everybody wants something handed to them or given to them.
And so what was that question that you had for us a little bit earlier, Patrick?
When are you going to say that enough is enough? When do you say, I risk my wealth, I risk living comfortably, I risk doing nothing so that my family and my sons hopefully can live in freedom and not bondage? Because at some point, courageous men are going to have to do things just the way it is to keep freedom and liberty. I think the fight for liberty and freedom is never ending, and as soon as we become complacent in it, like kind of our country has, we're lost.
That's like, current times with the election, man, it's just, obviously the fraud abounds, and how anybody can be okay with, cheating and, not knowing the true outcome of an election, and, I don't know. My main thing is getting shit fixed so that elections in the future actually, if that's even a possibility.
My biggest fear is this, right? Free men and good citizens who have put faith in the system are now to the point where they're feeling like their vote, awesome. They're feeling like their vote doesn't count anymore, right?
Not just their vote, but their rights and their
freedom.
freedom.
You're not a free person anymore. And if you let this election stand and you don't believe, really, this twice the duck of the bounds. So, free men and good citizens are getting to the point they feel like their vote doesn't matter anymore. And when that happens, our country truly is lost because we quit voting. It's no longer a matter. But part of the problem is treating public servants like celebrities is a mistake. You know what I mean? Like the president should be working for us, which I do believe. No matter what you think of Trump has made excellent progress on some things. Now, I don't agree with everything Trump's done, for sure.
Here's my thing with Trump, is that I don't necessarily like the way he does things. I don't like what he always says. However, he is 100% for the American people.
He's working for
That's
us,
what
absolutely.
I like.
I feel like he put himself in a servant position.
For the first time in my adult life, I feel like somebody's trying to do something for the average American people.
And it should show by the amount of resistance he has got, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the amount of the people that are in Congress and going against him that are supposed to be fighting for the same things, supposed to be public servants just like he is, have truly been his biggest enemies. And I think it's showing right now during this election process, right? Like the people who their hands are dirty and they're probably not squeaky clean anyway, are really starting to show their colors.
Drain that shit.
That's right. You know, the initial thing he said he wanted to drain the swamp.
And that's what's happening. People are not happy about it.
We're all, I think.
But the part of the issue is us, though, right? We allow this to happen. We allow, like, our forefathers would have been in arms already, right? Yep. I think people forget history.
In the face.
I don't think it's not that they forget history; it's that they weren't taught history anymore. Like a lot of things that are hugely important, that were milestones for our country, are no longer in school, no longer in the public education that we just assume allows our, our kids are getting when they're in school. What was the saying? Like, if you don't want your kids to act like Caesar, you shouldn't send them to the Romans for education.
Right.
That's where we're at. Like, you're sending your kids to places to be educated, and they're going to be with the most liberal, most profoundly different people. I don't know how else to say it nicely, but they're so far on the other side of things that it's truly, is it our fault, right? Is it our fault for letting this happen? That's where I'm at. I try to do something different about it. We tried to take back some of the things that we feel are hugely impactful, because the next generation, our kids, are going to be only as good as we make them. And that's kind of where we're at,
Deep moments on the road with